All right, we're live for episode 26 here at the wonderful middle of the United States. Devin, your feedback already, my friend. Did you forget to plug your headphones in?
No, they're in.
Well-oiled machine as always, folks. We let's see.
It wasn't doing that earlier.
Yeah, Devin must not. It's something with the live version. Devin I don't know what it is. He's a little sneaky like that. Trying to draw. You know what he's trying to do? He's trying to get his mug on the YouTube video a little bit more. That sounds a lot better.
Is this better?
Yeah, that's great.
That's what I get for listening. That's what I get for listening to you saying use your headphones.
Well, in about 20 minutes, something else will happen. We'll probably have to switch back. So keep them handy at least.
They're right here. I'm good.
All right, we are less than 1 minute into the show, and we've already had technical difficulties. So we're doing well.
Par for the course.
Yeah. My name is Josh Allen. Great to be back. Great to hang out with you guys. You know, last time we were here, we were talking about how cold it was. We invite Techie Turner, Rodney Turner, on from Arizona, and boys, it was 60 degrees today. We're looking at 65 tomorrow. Do we know how to schedule? And all the snow's out on the East Coast. I'm not saying it's us. I'm just saying it might be us and our scheduling.
I don't know, Josh. I almost sent John Spencer a message today because he's always gloating about the weather in Arizona. I almost just sent him one that said 60 degrees in Iowa in January. Take that, Spencer.
Oh, that would be a good one. So, my name is Josh Allen, Tech Integration Specialist in the middle of the Middle West in the Omaha metropolitan area. Happy to be here. Beautiful wife, 3 wonderful kids. We got a 7-year-old almost 7-year-old in our house, and 4 and a 2-year-old. And we'll get to some big happenings tonight in the Allen household in our Dad Moment of the Week later on. As always, joined by the brain trust of Dads and Ed, Brent and Devin. Brent, go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, everybody? It's Brent Catlett here from Kansas City, Mo, home of the Royals. No, I have an amazing wife, Josie, who is very pregnant at this point, and we are due February 18th. So I'm lucky to be in this hangout without getting in major trouble because the mood swings are awful, boys. No, I'm just kidding. But no, she's amazing. Carrie's baby is better, and it's just unbelievable to watch her so gracefully handle it. And especially when you have a 1.5-year-old and a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 8-year-old. I mean, it's quite the task. So we're excited to have the new baby soon. And I am the Director of Technology in Independent School District here in Kansas City area, and excited about Techie Turner tonight.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. I'm Devin Schoening. I'm in Council Bluffs, Iowa, as a tech integration coach, specialist. I don't know, whatever my title is now.
Your title gets longer every week.
I don't even know what it is, to tell you the truth. It's I do something on most days. Just never know what. I have a great wife who I'm kind of angry at. She's kicking my butt in a running challenge for this year. So that's not happy about that. And I have 2 great daughters, almost 9 and 11 in this house. We have birthdays coming up within the next end of February and early March. So we are in birthday season here in a few days. And Claire is usually with me, and she asked if she could be in here tonight, and I told her no, only because she was last time she had on her panda pajamas, the big long panda pajamas.
That's right. I remember that.
Just had a shirt on and no pants. I said, you cannot be on live.
Yeah.
Ever in your life can you be on the internet with no pants?
Good life lesson, kids.
Hey, everything's a teachable moment around here.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, like we said, we have Rodney Turner. Rodney is our, we do things big here at Dads and Ed. So we decided with the Super Bowl being in Arizona, we needed a Super Bowl consultant or correspondent. I don't even know the right word. Correspondent. Yeah. So Rodney is our correspondent. If you've seen 5 minutes of the show, you know how much budget we have for that. So you can know what to expect from Rodney. and but excited to have him on here in a little bit. If you want to connect with the show at any time, please tweet us at Dads and Ed, all one word, obviously. Use the hashtag Dads and Ed. We will be checking that, monitoring it throughout the night. Google Plus, we are at Plus Dads and Ed. You can see our upcoming episodes as soon as we get them posted, and you can watch the past episodes if you want. If you want to check out the audio of the show after the fact, check out our website, dadsanded.podbean.com, or subscribe in iTunes by searching Dads and Ed. All right, I think that covers all the bases. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about a new law in Illinois. Devin, I'm going to put this on Twitter. You want to give a short little synopsis of it while I'm dropping that in?
Yeah, sure. I remember who I saw this from the other day. It was tweeted out, but apparently there's now a law on the books in Illinois that schools can demand students to hand over their social media passwords if there are thoughts that there might be bullying going on. So it wouldn't be a matter of anything other than they would have to say, hey, give it up. What's your Facebook password? They hand over the password so that the school officials could kind of check on that and see if any inappropriate behavior on private accounts has happened. So, as I read it, I thought that doesn't sound right. Probably shouldn't be able to do that. And I thought maybe it'd be a good topic for us to talk about tonight. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Should schools have the right to demand passwords from students if there's an implication of bullying?
I saw you guys chiming in on this, Devin, on Twitter, and my initial reaction was, no way. Like, I don't think it's a good place for us to be going down. I mean, I don't know, from a privacy standpoint. I don't know, but then there's a part of me that says that we need to be a model for kids out there in social media / their kids. I kind of struggle with, I don't know what my example here or what I'd want it to be, but in the sense of like cell phone records or something that would be pulled in law for something that's gone down that's really bad or negative. I mean, I definitely want to protect kids from being cyber bullied or bullied in general. So I don't know. I'm still kind of soaking it up, I think, for me personally. So I'm curious what you guys have to say too.
I was kind of the same way. Like, my first reaction was I didn't like it. But my second thought was, how is this different than, when we were in elementary school and we wrote a note in our notebook and they take our notebook? I get that, and I understand there's an online piece to it. It's not as simple as taking a notebook. But is there any similarity between those two things? I'm not saying that there is. I don't necessarily say that I'm agreeing with it, but after thinking about it, then I don't know. I kind of wondered that.
Yeah.
Well, so what if this is going to be a big stretch? But what if I have my notebook, but it's it's like my diary. It's got one of those little locks on it.
True.
You get to demand key to the lock?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I don't know.
It's a tough one, and I think it goes to show or talk about in the fact that we're just in this different day and age, and I don't think we're caught up to it in any way, shape, or form in the sense of just how to embrace these tools and what are the rules and regulations of those look like. I mean, I don't know. Because I remember just when cell phones started to hit school when I was a principal, and I was probably, thinking back on it now, I was very reactive, not proactive. It was just very like, okay, give me that, we're putting it in my desk, if you come get it at the end of the day. That's for emergencies for you to use, that's why your mom gave it to you, not to be texting some other kid in a different school, while you're in school. So I don't know. Whereas now you could say, well, let's embrace the tool, let's get it out, and let's use it for research. And so I had conversations with my mother-in-law this weekend, in fact, who came to visit us, about just social media and stuff. And it's just so interesting to get someone like that's perspective on it that is not in education, because I think the three of us are somewhat like-minded on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
And so I was starting to think, like, gosh, do I have my mind going too one-directional in a way that I'm not thinking this thing from different levels, you know? And I try to do that, but I don't know. So I'm still kind of on the fence on where I really sit with this one.
Yeah, I think I am too. And you know, as you read the piece, it's kind of hard to tell what exactly the law is. So, you know, parents got a letter saying if your child has an account on a social networking website, please be aware the state law requires school authorities to notify you that your child may be asked to provide his or her password in certain circumstances. And the next paragraph, which is just in the article, says, however, the law doesn't explicitly state that officials are allowed to demand passwords. Rather, that schools must have a process to investigate whether a reported act of bullying is within the permissible scope of the district's or school's jurisdiction. And I can't remember if it was somewhere on Twitter or if it was in the comments on the article, but they talk about, you know, if there really is something bad on there, there are already avenues in place by which you can contact Facebook, you know, and
Right.
have them do some of the investigating or get passwords, those kinds of things. So I just don't know. I don't like the precedent that it sets.
Right.
If it were to get in place, and I know I've seen schools, I've been in schools where you could really take that, you could take that and run with it. If now you think just because there might be an implication that goes against, you know, schools that might be in the school's jurisdiction, you know, maybe I can just dig into kids' accounts now because I think there's something, or I don't know. It just seems like a slippery slope and a bad precedent to set for me.
That was one of the things that you know, like I said, I went kind of both ways with it, but the concern that I would have is someone abusing that privilege because it's such a wide open law, and there's not a specific criteria per the state law. Now, obviously, there's specific criteria to get Facebook involved or whatever social media account. I would worry that there would be, abuse of that for, just like you said, just for little things, And oh God, what was I gonna say? It was super smart too.
It sounded like it was gonna be.
I thought
Yeah.
so.
You could tell the way you were going. It was gonna be.
Yeah. It was awesome. Carry on with your guys' dang it. So let's talk about tech troubles for a minute. So the mothership that runs the Dads and Ed live broadcast is not, apparently this whole 3-week break is not really good on it. I didn't realize I had to actually work again tonight. So I have been my mind has been a little off. I know what I was gonna say. The first, or the comment that I saw when I read that article, and it was the first one there, and I don't know if it's still there as the first one because obviously those moved down, but the guy said something about it's going to be a cold day in hell when they before they get my kid's password or something like that, and he said I'll sue them faster than they can get it or something. I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. I don't know that I don't know that I necessarily would go that way too. I mean, I think, I don't know. It's tough.
It seems like in a case like that, where if there really is something serious, you would hope that a school and a community would have kind of open communication between principals and parents, that you could rely on a parent to be the kind of mediator there, or the go-between, or you bring them in and they get, are kind of able to get onto the kid's account, get into the kid's account, or, I don't know, look at it with them, as opposed to this kind of heavy-handed,
right,
big brother-ish kind of, we can look at your account anytime you want, even though it's a private account. I don't think I like that. I can see why schools would want that. And I can see why even it might be useful at times, but it doesn't seem like the way to go.
You would hope that parents would either A, be wanting to cooperate with the school if they think their kid did do something wrong, or B, be willing to cooperate because they know that their kid is innocent and be okay with sitting there looking together. I think, as much as I like I tried to make the comparison earlier, but the more I thought about it, the more I leaned towards not liking it due to the fact, like you said, just the possible abuse that could come from it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's a great point, Devin, and I think it raises the point of just that need for parent communication, and that this is a partnership, and we've maybe lost sight of that a little bit, or I don't know, as a whole, or maybe I'm speaking off the cuff, but I just think back to my administrative days in schools, and I remember struggling with the fact that parents were always blaming the school or the teacher. Like there was like this shift was happening, and I was a part of it, and I was really starting to get frustrated with the fact that I couldn't call a parent without being like kind of nervous about it, because I knew I was going to, on this other side of the phone, I was going to have this person that was mad at me or mad at the teacher, or what did I do to the other kid? And yeah, you're right. I mean, I should just be able to contact a parent and say, hey, we've had an issue that's come to light, and I need your help. You know, like,
right.
This
I think
is
there's such a distrust anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, it's so sad, and that's what rings to me by what you say. But I completely agree that it needs to be that kind of partnership, so that it's just like a mutual, hey, we've got some issues here, can we please look into this? But yeah, so I don't know. I agree that it shouldn't be this heavy-handed drop down.
And I guess we would all agree that we're not naive to the fact that kids are using social media tools for inappropriate things at times. You know, I don't think,
just in your district.
Yeah, right. Just
I don't see that at all.
You know, I think that sometimes that maybe people hear folks like us talk, and we're kind of way far on one side of a lot of these topics, and say, you know, oh, that's just not reality, and you know that they're naive to the fact that kids are doing these things. I don't think any of us are naive. I think we see those things happening all the time. But I'm just, I guess, not.
You know, we had a discussion this weekend about this. I'll wrap this back around. Don't worry. About cruise ships.
All right.
And going on cruises, and how like horrible cruises are, and who would want to go on a cruise anymore, because all you hear about is the negative. You hear about the South Korean one, that, you know, however many people died in that, 300 people or whatever it was. You hear about the one in Italy that the guy ran it into a rock. You don't hear about the 500 other ones that are, you know, go out every month that are perfectly fine. And it's the same thing with social media. You don't hear about the kids who are, you know, using it and promoting their school and promoting themselves. You know, you hear about the idiots who, you know, tweet in bomb threats to schools. Right. You know, that's what they think social media is being used for. So,
right. I agree.
That was my, you know, cruise ship going out to sea. I was a little late, but I thought I'd throw it in there.
So the godfather to this podcast is the Techlandia podcast, which John Samuelson was a big helper in getting this started, which we talked about, you know, earlier in the past with Kurt Reese, who's a former Techlandia host. Every time John would mention Jeremy McDonald's name, Mr. McNology, he would always play that soundbite. So I was waiting for that and waiting for you to tie him in somehow. I was super confused. All right, we need to get moving on. Dad moment of the week, and then we'll bring Rodney Turner in, our correspondent down in Arizona for the Super Bowl this week. My dad moment of the week, I mentioned it's a big night at the Allen household. We have a 2-year-old that we are trying to wean off of her pacifier. Last night we had a big weekend. We were gone all weekend. Left the pacifier in the car last night when my wife went to her MOPS meeting, Moms of Preschoolers meeting, and she left me. I texted her. I said, "Where's the pacifier?" She said, "It's in the car." I said, "Okay." So it didn't dawn on her that she actually had the car that the pacifier was in. So I had to put my daughter down for the first time without a pacifier last night. So we're running with it. And she went and she said she threw her pacifier away. She bought a blanket she can cuddle with at night. So tonight's night number 1, or night number 2, really, of no pacifier. And because we go big or go home around here, we're also going to work with the 4-year-old on not wearing a pull-up to bed tonight. So expect us to be up all night. By us, I really probably mean my wife, because I tend to not hear anything. Most of the time, that's actually true, too. or I realize my wife is getting back in bed. Which at that point there's really no reason in suggesting me help out. So we'll see how that goes. But hopefully that makes for some easier nights for us. So, Devin, what you got?
My dad, when we had conferences this last week for the girls, and both girls have student-led conferences at this point, so they kind of lead us through the whole thing. We only talked to the teacher for a few minutes, but it was kind of cool to see them lead us through that whole thing and talk about the things that they're learning and show us some of the things that they've created and that they're doing in class. And I know that my kids for the most part do pretty well in school, and it's kind of cool to see them lead through that. But Claire has a little, math isn't easy for her. And that has been kind of maybe the frustration as a parent. You see things that are happening, in math, and you see your kids get frustrated, and that's kind of hard sometimes. So, but I was really proud of both of them for leading us through their conference and showing us all the great things that they're doing.
Very cool.
Nice. All right, Brent, what you got?
I'm gonna have to go to actually just this morning. I'm really fond of my little guy Ollie, who's a year and a half. And speaking of binkies, my wife has cut him off to just bedtime and nap times. But so anyway, he is doing really well. But I'll tell you what, no matter what time we put that kid to bed, he's up pretty much just all the time at 6 in the morning, 6:30. And so I this morning woke up with him as usual, went and grabbed him, and I hate to say, but I kind of have a bad habit of bringing him to bed with me, because then I'm like, if I could just get a little more time. And so this morning I kind of had him just on my chest, and typically I'd kind of put him under my arm and lay on my back, and sometimes he'll fall asleep, sometimes not. But this morning I snuggled him in that way, and he's, of course, a fairly big boy, not a baby by any means, but I don't know. It was just one of those moments where I was like, God, I'm going to miss this, and I know I have one more coming, which I'm going to really soak up, but then I'm officially done. But I just am like, I love those moments, in being a dad and just that bonding and stuff that goes on. So it was pretty awesome.
Cool.
Sound effects in full effect.
Mm-hmm.
Just in time, ladies and gentlemen, we are more than ecstatic to be joined by Rodney Turner. Rodney, when we had our last show 3 weeks ago, it was below zero. Today it was 60. So we want to thank you for being on. We may have you anytime that it gets below zero. We're going to call you back and have you come back if that's all right with you.
Sure, no problem. It was only 72 today.
Only 72.
Yeah. Well,
and it was cloudy.
Whatever.
Oh, that's
terrible.
Who wants to go there?
Absolutely, no way, man, no way. It was cold. I had a big jacket on. Had it all the way up here. Shivered.
Bring back the sun.
John would do the same thing.
John's a good friend of the show. Devin and I were talking before that Devin, put your headphones back in.
I got my headphones on.
Unbelievable. It really is, Devin.
We never have technical difficulties, Rodney. Sorry.
It's hilarious. Okay. I don't know what it is with Devin's. It's just like the last couple months, just randomly his audio will. It's when someone else new comes in, I think.
Okay.
So anyway, we were going to brag today to Arizona people about how nice it was, specifically John Spencer, who likes to tell us how wonderful it is down there. But
it's absolutely beautiful.
That story was awesome about 10 minutes ago when I first started it. So let's move on. Rodney, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Rodney Turner. I'm a technology integration specialist. I hear an echo. And I live here in Arizona. I am a native, but I did not grow up here, ironically. I spent a lot of my time in Kansas. I've also lived in Minnesota as well as Arkansas. Um, love computers. As a little boy, I used to take things apart and put them back together. I was known at 10 years old. I was known to put together our toaster. It was broken. My mom's like, "Hey, it's broken. Hey, let me fix it." I was 10, so I figured out what it was. It was one of the filaments. It didn't work, so I took the toaster apart and I pulled it out, and I went, I know what I could use. So I took one of those twist ties and I stripped the paper off of it, retied it just like they did, and it worked.
Wow, child prodigy we have on tonight.
No. And then it was all downhill from there. Well,
at least in the realm of toasters, we have a child prodigy on the show tonight.
Well, I basically went on. Thanks. I basically went on and started helping, tutoring different classmates in high school with computers and things like that. I was a computer guy in high school. I taught them how to use them as well as I would put them together. So I was the resident IT guy.
You were the student help desk before student help desk were cool.
Absolutely. So XGAs, VGA, SVGA, yeah.
Nice.
The computers that I put together were 8088s, XTs, and ATs. They had the amber screens, they had the green screens, and yeah.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
Well, hey, Rodney, I'm excited to have you on tonight. You know, I got to meet you down at Miami Device, and just want to throw that in there for the boys. So, it's one of those things where you follow a guy on Twitter and you get to know people that way, kind of, and then to meet someone face to face is always a fun thing. And so I know I really enjoyed my time with you in Miami.
Yes.
And getting to know you. And so I'd love for you, we did a little Uber podcast in the Uber cab, and but I would love for you to share about your podcast that you're involved with, and kind of anything you want to share about that, because I think you're doing some great stuff there.
Wow. Well, first of all, you talked about the Uber podcast, so I'm going to go ahead and throw out Jennifer Ashby and I do a podcast it's called AU to AZ podcast, and we try to do it monthly. But Jennifer lives near Melbourne, Australia. So we have about 18-hour difference where I'm like trying to go to bed and she's still halfway through her day. But the cool part about it is that I had the opportunity to actually meet her about 3 years ago at a mobile learning conference here in Phoenix, Arizona. But I had been following on Twitter since 2009. Ironically, also, we started Twitter 10 days apart. I mean, it was pretty cool. 10 days apart, but she was doing things with with iPods, which I thought was absolutely awesome because I just bought an iPod and I wanted to see how I could use it in my classroom. And she had some really great activities she was doing with first graders at the time. And so I started tweeting back and forth with her, and it just grew from there. It was really good. The podcast was grown out of a want to share what I have and what we have, but also knowing that we did a lot of really great things that were similar across a huge ocean. The education climate was the same, the challenges are the same, and so that's what we want to bring to our audience, to say, hey, even though we're miles apart, I was about to say different languages, but that's not right.
Different accents.
Different accents, yes. Different accents. But we have the same issues. They may look a little bit different, different people, but it's pretty much the same. So we've had a really great time. I've met with her now 3 different times here over in stateside, especially, 2 times stateside. Twice was here in Arizona, and once was in Miami with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right? Yep. So I got to meet her as well, which is cool. So the podcast name is AU to AZ, yes?
Yes.
for the folks out there that want to check that out.
For the folks here in the United States. For those that are in Australia, it's AU to AZ.
Gotcha. I
Makes
didn't know
sense,
that.
AZ.
We're big in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Our latest podcast, I'm going to go ahead and plug it right now, is number 16. We have a old debate with a new twist. But there's one that's coming out really, really soon, as soon as I get it published. It's AU to AZ to UK.
Ooh. 3-continent podcast?
Yep.
Wow.
So it was
I didn't expect to invite you on to show us up, but I mean,
but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
that's awesome.
I was in the middle of my day, and our guest was trying to go to bed, and she was just waking up.
That's crazy.
It was a lot of fun, though. It was a lot of fun, though.
And the best we've been able to do is get somebody on from Canada. That's the best we can do. All right, well, the bar has been raised, gentlemen. We now have to get at least somebody from another continent.
But see, here's the thing, though. You guys have a Google Hangout that you do live, and you record it and you put it out there. Ours is just a podcast. It's just audio. So we could just like piece together different audio and just say, hey, this is what we did. So you guys have already set a bar higher than us.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. It made me feel better. Rodney, we talk about...
It's the little things we haven't learned.
What are you going to do? Hey, one of the reasons we started this is we were all fairly close geographically, but we were all dads, and we kind of talked about this whole thing about being an educator and being a dad, and we got on to talk about that. And so we asked kind of all of our guests a similar question, but can you talk a little bit about how being a dad has impacted you as an educator and kind of vice versa? Those things where we interact with kids as part of our job, and then how does that impact us as parents?
Wow. I'm going to say I've become a different educator since I've had my boys. One of the reasons why is because it helps me to understand a little bit more of what parents go through when they leave school. It causes me to take a second look at what am I doing to help them to understand that this is a better way. This is how you do it. My oldest is 6. My youngest is 4. So I used to get those, Daddy's being mean to me. I'm like, well, what do you do? And I caught myself several times thinking that he's going to be able to work through these different things, but he doesn't have all those tools yet. So it's helped me to understand a little bit more about how to work with kindergartners and first graders, but also to take a step back and to think about how am I really modeling the proper way to be a person that is that they can look up to. So it's been really good for me. I think also though is a balance. I love traveling. I love going to different places. Brent can tell you we were just oogling the entire time we were together, looking here and there, and wow, what's that over in Miami? But once I got back home, it was like I'm glad to be back home. I'm glad to hug my boys, and it's good to be back here. So I might be I might want to take them sometime, take a babysitter with me.
Yeah.
Different things, but. That's one of the things, though, that I love is getting them out and going to different places. Arizona is an awesome state, okay? I was about to throw in a Midwest joke, but I decided not to.
Yeah, be careful.
Appreciate that.
Hey, I used to live in Wichita. I used to live in Topeka, so it's okay.
It's all good. It's all good.
You said
We can respect
Minnesota,
that.
too. That's kind of nearby.
I'm sorry?
I said you said Minnesota, too. That's kind of nearby.
Kind of, yeah. but I have a really great.
There you go. Now you can talk.
Thank you. I have a really great passion of getting my boys out and seeing different things, experiencing different parts of our state, as well as working and doing things that are different from what other people do. I know Brent follows me on Instagram. I tweet pictures of different foods we eat. Seaweed. We're vegetarian, but boys are vegan, and so we get different vegetarian, vegan options, and it's kind of different. But you know what? They take to it. They try it because they realize that Daddy's not going to make them eat the entire bowl of chayote. It'll be like 1 or 2 bites.
All right.
So it gives them the opportunity to try something, and if they don't like it, that's okay. A week and a half ago, we tried jicama. They loved it. We had a little bit of jicama and with some lime juice on it, and they just ate it up. And then the next time it came around, my oldest is like, Dad, I don't like jicama. It's like, but you ate like half the grapefruit-sized ball of it. No, I'm good. I'm like, okay. All right, no problem. But at least he tried it. So when we go to different places and we try different foods, I say, try a little bit. And they do it. They do it because they realize that it's going to be different, and if they really like it, then it's okay. To just giving my boys the experience that I've had, traveling different places, different foods, meeting different people. And so with me as an educator, let me tie it back to your question. It's helped me to I used to do that with my boys, with my students, to build the background with them. I would bring in my books. I would bring in my pictures and my family and my stories. 1993. No. Yeah, it was, no, it's not 1993. It was 1990, summer of 1990. There was a, I was going to say hurricane, tornado, Heston tornado. Remember that, guys?
No.
No. Okay. There was a huge tornado in Heston, Kansas. It was 1.5 miles to 2 miles wide, and I found the footage of some of the news reports. And so when my class talked about tornadoes, I brought in my story. I told them a story that I lived in Rago, which is an hour west of Wichita. And we could see the anvil. We could see the storm just moving off to the northeast. And it's like, what is that? And then the next day, we saw a whole bunch of reports about a huge tornado had hit Heston and things like that. And so I told them my story, and then I played the videos for them because we were talking about extreme weather, and we were talking about how different the damage and all those different things. They were absolutely ate it up because I made it personal, and they just really enjoy it. And so as an educator, I try to make things as personable as possible so that way students will be grabbed and will try to want to learn more about it, to see what's going on, and to try to relate a little bit more.
That's awesome. I love you talking about being able to travel a little bit. I was trying to think, leading up to this, I know that you and I were at the same conference, and we didn't realize it until afterwards. Was that in Arizona, or was that in Atlanta?
Was that mobile learning?
That's what I was trying to remember, because I know I've been to mobile learning, and then Brent and I were talking. I couldn't remember if you had been in Atlanta at an ed tech teacher thing we were both at.
No.
Okay,
no.
So it must have been mobile learning.
Yeah.
Talk about, you mentioned the travel piece, but what is it about, traveling to these different conferences, whether it's outside your state or your district, and, obviously meeting other people. We obviously just missed meeting each other face to face, and, getting to of course see Brent at that one nice place that you guys were at. I can never remember the name of it. Brent never tells us anything. So talk a little bit about, how you value some of those travels.
Wow. So you're asking me to talk about my ussies, huh?
Yeah. Well, assuming we have the same definition of what that is, yes.
Not hussies, ussies.
Okay, drop the H. All right, we're good. Go ahead.
One of the things that I love to do is to take pictures of people in my personal learning network. And one of the reasons why I do that is because it gives me something I can refer back to. And when I refer back to it, then I have a story that I can say. the other reason why I like traveling is, again, going to different places. I love Atlanta. I mean, anyone that goes to Atlanta, I think, and doesn't like it, then there's something that may not be there for them. But I love it personally. When my grandmother and my dad used to live there, I loved it. But anyway, that was a huge, no, not Atlanta, but San Antonio the year before. I went to ISTE to San Antonio. That was a really great turning point for me because I got to go to a place and be with people that I had corresponded with through Twitter, through Google Hangouts, through About.me, I mean, through different ways. And I was able to connect with them, to talk with them, to take a little bit of time and to be with them. So I think one of the reasons why I love traveling and going to these different conferences is because it energizes me even more, and it helps me to get even more connected to those that are passionate about the things that I'd like to do.
Philadelphia this summer?
You know what?
Oh, come on.
Well, I will tell you that my registration is paid.
So there's a chance.
There is a chance.
Make amends for missing out 3 or 4 years ago.
There is a chance. There is a big chance. I just need to get my airfare and hotel paid.
Okay. All right.
We'll pass the hat.
Next time we have a Dad's Net event, we'll pass the hat. We'll do the Rodney Turner to EST 15 charity.
We'll talk to our sponsors.
I thought my interview was going to get me there.
Someone may see it and say, you know what, we need that guy in Philadelphia.
You know, I do my best because I realize that there's a lot of different things that I could learn. I wanted to put in a proposal this year, but it came way too fast.
Yeah.
But I do know a couple of things that I have the opportunity to talk with a lot of really great and awesome people. And if anything, I'm going to do it the best that I can to share on Twitter, Google+, and wherever else I can.
I went to the San Antonio ISTE, and I've been completely overwhelmed. This will be my third ISTE this summer, and it's huge. And it was really the mobile learning conference you're talking about. Tony Vincent, who now lives in our neck of the woods, by the way, he got smart and moved back up north.
I don't know if you want to call it that.
Oh, come on. He put the mobile learning conference on down in Arizona, and that was the first one I'd been to where they capped it, at 700 people or whatever it was the year I was there, and that was phenomenal for being able to start getting connected, and that was the first one to me that kind of turned the tide a little bit for me. So.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be back at ISTE for at least one more time.
Yeah.
Hey, Rodney, earlier today when I was tweeting off sharing about the show, I know you mentioned you wanted to share a resource you have that you've been kind of using, or I'd love to hear more about it because I just briefly dug into it while I was doing some stuff today. So please do share about your resource.
My resource?
Yeah, you tweeted it to me. Do you need me to reference it?
I'm gonna need you to reference it since we don't have any show notes here, bud.
Okay, it was.
You're not missing anything. We don't have show notes either. Don't worry.
It was Rebel Mouse. Is this ringing a bell?
Yes, it does. Rebel
Mouse.
I'll
do your homework. It's fine. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for doing my homework.
Yeah.
Now we're even.
Our crack staff of researchers.
Yeah.
I love Rebel Mouse because it gives me the opportunity to take anything with pictures and anything that I favorited or I retweet, it will automatically go to Rebel Mouse and it will put it up on like my news page.
Okay, so let me back to the train up. So it's www.rebelmouse.com. And you're saying that if you retweet something, favorite it, take a picture, it goes there?
With a picture.
With a picture?
Right. If it has a picture, it will automatically be posted on my board.
Okay. So, like, you retweeted the Dads and Ed Google Plus link to the Hangout, and so since that has the banner image that goes with the typical event in Google Plus, it it shows it on your board here because I'm looking at
Yes,
the
sir.
tweet.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then
So-
anything else that has a picture with it is put on here.
Yes. I love that resource because it gives me an opportunity to share what I really like, and then it also gives me a way to go back and to look for stuff that I'd like to favorite. I mean,
Sure.
I love TweetDeck, but sometimes that whole favorites thing gets kind of in the way, and it's like, okay, I know it's a picture, I know it looks like this, and so I go through my Rebel mouse to find it. So it's a twofer.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I've never used the tool. So I was really curious to learn about it. I know. Well, and like you mentioned before about taking pictures, Ussies, Hussies, whatever it was.
There's a big difference there.
And
There's a big.
One's way more expensive.
Well, and I know looking through, I could see your pictures of some of your Ussies with other educators. So
Absolutely.
pictures is something I'm kind of fascinated with. I mean, Josh and I have talked about this before, but I use if this then that with some recipes in Instagram. If I hashtag it, say stuff with my kids, then that goes up to my Flickr account
Yep.
which is one I love. But this Rebel mouse looks pretty cool. It's for more right now. I use that exclusively kind of for my kids, but maybe this is something I want to dig into for sake of those resources, because I'm with you in the sense of favoriting to me is one tool I use exclusively for something I want to keep. Like some people, favorite a tweet just because as a way to say they like it.
Right.
But I don't do that. I very rarely do that. Like it's more about I want to remember that thing, so that's where I want to put it. But
Right.
this, I like the visual of this. It kind of almost reminds me of, oh gosh, what's the other tool out there? Like a Scoop It, kind
That's
of.
right. Scoop that in.
Something like that. Or anyway, looks pretty cool. I like the way it looks.
I love the way that it looks because it gives me an opportunity to share those different things. But I love if this then that because I like taking pictures, as you guys know. I take a picture, and then I have to do it on Instagram because it's kind of picky about how it puts its pictures up. But once I put it in Instagram, and then you get the option to share it, I send it to my Twitter, and then I send it to my my Tumblr and to my Facebook if I want to, and to my Flickr. So it goes to all those different places because of if this then that.
Mm-hmm.
Amen, amen, amen.
So
We love that stuff.
So it makes it a lot easier to go to different places and to put them out there. So there was one day that I got a note from someone, and it said, "Hey, have you been hacked?" I forgot who it was. Someone asked me. I'll figure out who it is. And I'm like, no, what's the problem? So I went back through my recipes. It's very important to check your recipes because I had loops. I had like 3 or 4 loops of different things, and it would keep sending them out. It's like, no. So I had to cut out all the different recipes and then put them back in. That did not loop out.
I actually I made the mistake one time of testing a recipe for somebody, and it ended up tweeting out something in Japanese at like 2:30 in the morning. And I didn't get it. I didn't understand like what happened, so I thought I'd been hacked. So I changed all my passwords to Twitter and if this then that and Evernote, and then I started looking through my recipes again. I'm like, well, where'd that come from? And it was like an RSS one that I was just toying around with and forgot to shut it off. So I hear you.
Yeah, those
It's very
RSS
powerful.
are dangerous.
Hey, Devin, did you want to come back in and answer a question? I feel like you're at the little kids table over there by yourself.
I just don't want to bother anybody.
That's why we put you at the kids table. Well,
Just
Rodney,
smiling and nodding.
yeah.
And I just started doing that. I stopped listening to you guys about 35 minutes ago. I just nod every once in a while.
He's really falling asleep. Oh, yeah.
This is just a video on a loop. It's running in the background.
You've been hacked.
That is wonderful. Well, Rodney, the Super Bowl is in Arizona. It's kind of a big deal
Sure.
down there, I'm assuming.
Huge deal. Huge deal. Stadium's on the west side. Couldn't even do it. See, too much. It's on the west side and in Glendale, but there are events in Glendale as well as in Phoenix as well as in Scottsdale, and that's just marching from west to east across the valley. So it's absolutely everywhere. I was down over there about January 10, and they were just starting to set up all of the big hoops and all the big arches and things like that. So the NFL experience is going on down there. The Pro Bowl. You guys watched that last night?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit I watched a little bit of it. It wasn't
too.
as bad as I thought it would be.
I did too.
CFL all the way, baby. So it was pretty interesting just to see the monstrosity that was going on down there. I didn't get out of my car, but drove around it with a friend of mine, and it was just everywhere was just big, just big, and so it's a really big deal, really big deal.
Well, yeah, we joked about you being our correspondent down there by default because we didn't actually get you a ticket, and we're not actually flying you there. We just picked someone who was living there, so we didn't have to fly you there. I think it's great business strategy on our part. Actually, to be honest, when we thought about having you on, the conversation about, hey, he's where the Super Bowl is, actually never came up, and it didn't even dawn on me until like the last couple days that, wait a minute, he's right there. I wish we were smarter than that, but anyone who watches the show knows we're not. So, we're heavily involved in football. We watch every week. We watch all the games. We do like the Ron Jaworski all 22 for like 75 hours a day. So we would like to make some Super Bowl predictions. Obviously, if you're living under a rock, Seattle.
Did we lose him?
I don't know. Did we? See, Devin, he was saying that magic word of Seattle.
He said my iPad just went out.
Yep. And that's because he was trying to say the Seahawks, which are bad words here. Very bad words here.
Well, move on without him.
Yep. So Super Bowl predictions. Who do you got?
As much as I don't want to say it, I think that the Seahawks are going to take it. Not by a long shot, but maybe by 5. That's what I'm thinking.
All right. Do you have an actual score, or you're just going by 5?
23-28.
Seahawks. All right, we got 23-28 Seahawks from Rodney. Josh?
Not because I want to.
It'll be really interesting to see how the whole how do we put this nicely? The whole lack of air pressure, we'll just go that way.
That's good.
Affects the Patriots. I think it brings them together. I will go 35-31 Patriots.
35-31 Patriots. I'm going to go with Patriots win easily 42-14.
Whoa!
Yeah. They're going to kill him.
Russell
Devin.
Wilson going to the toilet this time.
Yep. Hey, he lucked out. He lucked out against the Packers. And I don't dislike the guy, but it is what it is.
I'm going to go much, 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 much closer than that, Brent. I think we're going to have a final seconds field goal to win it Super Bowl this year.
Who's we?
I don't know. Somebody's going to win on a final second field goal.
Wow. Non-committal, man.
I'm going to go with the Patriots. Patriots 27-24. Gostkowski with a field goal at the end, at the buzzer, win it. Close game this year. I think that the Deflate Gate won't have anything to do with it. Tom Brady's a better quarterback, and I think their defense can do just enough. 27-24 Patriots.
So I'd have to go back and look. Go ahead, Rodney.
So you're telling me I'm the only guy who lives here who does not like the Seahawks, and I said they're going to win?
Yeah, actually. You can change your answer.
Nah.
It wouldn't shock me if it was the other way around either.
No. I have a friend of mine. She is a die-hard Seattle Seahawks fan. Die-hard so much so that guess what she did?
What?
Tattoo?
No. Not as permanent. She actually got a job at the University of Phoenix Stadium. She got a job at the stadium because she said, my Seahawks are going to be in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And she gets to work during the Super Bowl. She's guaranteed a spot because she works there.
That is
and she's there.
So she have to work?
Yeah, she has to work during the Super Bowl.
That's awesome.
I said,
another big. Yeah.
Go ahead, Devin.
I was gonna say another big Seahawks fan is our friend John Spencer. He's a huge Seahawks fan too.
Really?
No. I've never heard someone with as much disdain for one team as John has for the Seahawks. So yeah, no love there.
Well, I have to say this. You know Simon Miller? In Idaho?
Mm-mm.
Oh, man. Okay. So this is going to get out, I know. But he had a picture on Facebook, and he had this ugly Seahawks sweater. Ugly. Ugly. I said, hey, didn't the ugly sweater contest end like a month ago?
Ugly Christmas sweaters are looking at him going, what the hell are you doing?
Yep. Like, I said, wow, my eyes are burning. So he loves the Seahawks, and so he's really happy right now. But let's make sure we get that tweet out to him.
Well, hey, by the way, speaking of Twitter, I want to shout out my man Bill Little, who's listening in, W Little65, who liked my prediction, by the way, gentlemen. And I think we should have Dads and Ed tweet out the scores of this group so we have an official record, and be nice to know. It's come Sunday when I'm bragging up that my 41-14 prediction is spot on.
Really?
Calling a shot.
I'll just remember it.
You said 42-14 earlier.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
You did it already? You said 42-14.
We're going to kill them. It's going to be a blowout. It's a super blowout as usual. They're never a good game.
Pick a score and stick with
it. Oh, well, gentlemen, we've come to the end of a wonderful evening. Rodney, can't thank you enough for. I know, dude. You know what? If you recall, when you lived in Kansas, it was a different time than what it is down in Arizona right now. Some of us are old and need to get to bed.
Yeah, it's past our bedtime.
Really?
For me, it is. I'm usually asleep by now. Snoring, by the way, on my back.
It's good. That's the insight you only get here on Dads and Ed.
Yeah. Well,
Rodney,
all I can say is that I have to do this out really quickly before we end.
Yeah.
This is a completely different format from EduView, which I love. Stacia Boatwhite, Stacia McFadden is listening in, and so I just wanted to say hey. But it's a completely different format. I love this group, so please keep it up. Keep going, guys. We'll see what we can do.
We should do, I've caught a few episodes of EduView. They got some good stuff going on. We might have to, maybe around Mother's Day, we need to do a joint podcast.
Well, get a hold of them, see what happens.
Yeah, we'll do that. That's how we decide our guests. We just throw ideas out and see what happens, and we'll start calling people.
Yep.
Yeah, and I would like to state for the record that we have had women on the show. This is not just about dads, and we do not discriminate against any sex or anything else of that nature.
Shaylin Farnsworth.
That's right. Yep.
We had
Farnsworth,
Holly Clark and Tanya Everett on as well.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
we've had several women on the show.
Yeah. That was a question we got. Can women watch this? Well, absolutely, women can watch this. I mean, really, we make people smarter, so they need to pass along the information to their husbands at some point.
Right.
All right, Rodney, thanks again. Really do appreciate it. Hoping we can catch up face to face sometime soon, whether it's in Philly or we'll find another way to do that. We've taken 3 week breaks the last couple times. We are going to go back to our normal 2 weeks now. Good friend of the show, Craig Badura, is joining us February 9th. He is actually going to be in Phoenix this week. He's coming to.
Yeah, I know. He didn't tell me he's here.
Well, he's not there yet. Phoenix Open.
He's coming. He and the whole family's coming down for the Phoenix Open.
Yeah, I know he's going to be in Nebraska on Wednesday because Dean Shareski's coming back. So it'll be after Wednesday. So maybe, do they really have the Phoenix Open the same time as the Super Bowl? Isn't that dumb?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because they got the parties that are going on over there on the east side anyway.
See, as you remember, up here in the Midwest, there's only like one town you can have parties like that in. So I was really confused. Wow. Omaha.
I was thinking Kansas City, but.
Well, yeah. But okay. Anyway. The semantics of this are getting way out of control. You're like, you and your facts are not working with this show right now.
I was trying to skew them just a little bit for you.
Yeah, well, and that's the funny part. Neither one of those towns could host a Super Bowl to save their lives. I mean, on a number of levels. Number one, it's generally freezing cold right now, although they did it in New York City. But New York City is a tad bit bigger than Kansas City and Omaha combined. So, kind of a little bit.
Chicago.
They could. A little chilly.
Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah. We'll be back February 9th with Craig Badura. And until then, Rodney, thanks very much. Gentlemen, above average, not our worst show ever, but we'll do better next time.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for having me on the show.